celebration later in the year, then kind of things would probably, you know, the barbecue would happen and so forth. Realizing that the town's going to lose a lot of money in ice time if Maha can't raise some money. I'm looking at the money that the fire department gets. You know, that benefits a lot of things. As we know, the fire department donated quite a bit of money to help pay for the fire truck that's been ordered. However, that's money is almost like slush fund money. And the fire department is going to get what it needs from the town to survive and to do the job they do. So I personally have no problem with this happening. I think it's a win-win. I agree with Sharon that people have to understand what's going on and understand the whole picture, because I think there's misinformation out there. And I think that we need to give people something. I think it's good for Maha. I think it's good for Highgate. And I just want to point out to Maha that, you know, as you said, July 4th, well, being a fireman, that's been Franklin's barbecue for the last 50 years. So we can't just, you know, if we want to step on toes and do that, well, that's one thing. I don't think we should. My loyalty is with Highgate, however. Believe me, that's the truth. But I don't see how this offends or hurts anybody by letting Maha try to have a fundraiser. That's my opinion.
Randy?
Hey, Sharon.
Hi, what are your thoughts?
I have no problems with it. And I don't know the ins and outs of Judy's lease on the kitchen, but I'm assuming she's on board, and, you know, we're not stepping on her toes at all. So I don't have any issues with it.
Okay, so,
Hey, Sharon.
yes.
Yeah, I guess one of my biggest issues is, and Kyle brought this up a few weeks ago, and I'm going to bring it up tonight. Let the selectmen know what's going on. I don't.
There was an email that nobody but Kyle responded to.
But you know what? This email, something get still and tell us
Well,
something.
I just want to clarify that I'm a little cautious about open meeting law.
Correct.
So I did read the email, but I figured I'd just keep my comments for this meeting so that there was no risk of violating that law. So that's my piece.
You know, the phones still work.
It does,
Oh,
but some
still
of us are still working 80 hours a week.
Well, I'm starting to, so, but it's still, phones still work. Somebody can get a hold of us. Somebody can tell us what's going on. That's the
Look
biggest thing
at
when you
your
hear from
emails.
when you hear it out from all the town and everything else. You know, bring it to us and let us know what's going on.
You were told.
Everything is hush, 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 hush.
It's
No.
not. Do
Yes,
your
it is.
job.
What's that?
Do your job.
I am doing my job, but
No, you're not.
I shouldn't have to do all emails and stuff. You know what, Sharon? That's right.
That's part of
I
it.
don't care, Sharon. I shouldn't have to do it. People can get a hold of me.
You're
Everybody
right.
else
You
seems
do. You
get a
shouldn't
hold of
have
me.
to do a god darn thing for the town. You're right.
You know, you can let people know what's going on.
I don't have time to babysit.
Well, then you probably shouldn't be the chairwoman then. If you can't, somebody can't let somebody know what's going on.
Richard, come on.
Yes, Kyle.
Come on, buddy. Come on.
Okay.
You made your point, please.
Okay.
Thank you. You made your point.
Okay. So can we have a motion to let Maha go forward with our blessing? Like Kyle
I'll make
said.
that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
Those opposed. Okay. Any other public comments? Okay,
No, you do it.
hearing none. We'd like to go forward with the Macy Road repair concept presentation.
Thank you, Sharon. I'm sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Richard, Kyle.
You're welcome.
And Butler and Bruce. Sorry. Thank you so much.
Good night, Karen.
Good night.
Hello, folks. Nice to see you all. I was wondering, Heidi, so apologize for this, our presentation being, or, just talking about the Macy Road slide plan being delayed, but I know we've been dealing with the same thing all over the world. So anyways, the V-Trans project manager and I spoke with Heidi a little while ago to talk about how we could possibly get information to the adjoining property owners, the Mrs. Young primarily. And so we mailed a packet to them. And I was wondering, Heidi, if you've received any comments or concerns, or if there was anything specific that they wanted to hear about, or
Both of the families, Mrs. Young is on the phone, Marion Young, and I believe her son is with her. So we haven't discussed any questions, but she's here to hear the presentation and may have questions tonight.
okay. All right. So I guess I'll try and go through the plans and just talk about what the proposal is. It really hasn't changed much since the last time we presented things to you folks, but other things that have been going on behind the scenes is we prepared the NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act review documents, and submitted them to the Agency of Transportation. That's all required for projects that have federal funding. And they have started reviewing the documents. One thing that has come up is that part of what we submitted was a review by an archaeological consultant, Harchin Associates, and looked at the roadway and the slope area and found a determination that there was basically no concerns, and that they would require no further investigation archaeologically. But then V-Trans looked at their report and noted that Harchin did not discuss the area on the flat side of the road, not the slope side of the road. And they're concerned that, the project could require excavation and movement of materials and stuff within the 20 feet of the edge of the road onto the adjoining property owners' front lawns. And so they went back to Harchin Associates and to, about the fact that this flat area on the side of the road was not included in the report. And Harchin came back and said that, well, in order to determine that there's no archaeological impact in that area, they'd have to do additional investigation of basically taking, I think it was 9 test pits along the side of the road, and like they're a 1.6 foot square down 20 inches deep, and they sift through the soils and see whether or not they find any artifacts. And so there was an additional fee proposal for that we submitted to Heidi. I think it was $4,100, and we wanted to discuss that here tonight. That's where the environmental review is at right now.
So you're proposing to go 20 feet on Mrs. Young's lawn?
That's what Well, let's see if I can share the plans here. It says host disabled screen sharing.
Host disabled, so I have, okay, try now.
Okay, let's see. I gotta find my, why is that not? My, I apologize that for some reason or another, this, my PDF, my Adobe is not showing up on my screen share possibilities. We may have to close a couple of things here.
Am I to understand that what we're going to discuss tonight is $4,100 to look for artifacts?
That is one that's just one aspect of the project. But,
So if they found artifacts, what happens then?
then there might be a determination to do additional investigations or to try and recover any additional artifacts.
Meanwhile, the road is falling into the river. So I understand we have rules we got to follow, and everybody needs to put money in their pocket on this, but I don't get it. I really don't get that. This makes no sense to me. The road is falling into the river, but yet we need to look for artifacts. And if they find artifacts, well, we may have to spend more money to recover more artifacts. Meanwhile, the road is still falling in the river, and I don't get it. I know it's not you. I know you just follow the rules.
I mean, it's a requirement of having funding from the Vermont Agency of Transportation and federal funding, federal money involved.
There's no possibility of an exemption because of how this slope is going so quickly. There's no possibility of exemption of that.
That's
Only
correct.
if it falls in the river.
And once it falls in the river, then we'll try to figure out how to fix it.
That's kind of what happens.
Sorry, but I am not. Here we go. My goodness. So.
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Nice.
Sorry about that, folks.
Oh, you got it. Pretty awesome.
I got it.
Accomplished.
Yeah. Okay. So it's been nice talking with you. So here, let's see. Let's go to this sheet here. Let's see. So here's the Young house, and here's the road. Is the center line of the road has these station numbers, the 3+54. You know, that's the center line of the road there. And this is the edge of the road nearest the house, the fence line, and this 2 dotted line is the edge of the right-of-way. So, what we're showing for the limits of disturbance that we expect is this line with the big triangles on it. So it's not 20 feet, except for maybe in one spot here that might be a disturbance of about 20 feet off the edge of the roadway. But in general, it's more like 10 feet from the edge of the existing pavement to the disturbance that we're looking at.
When you disturb that, you will put that all back to the natural landscape, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
And you know,
That's
and
gonna
so
be a good idea.
Yeah,
and there's the stockade fencing and the gates that will be, you know, trying to be put back as near as possible as it was.
what's near as possible?
Well, you know, they'll restore it as it was, but like there, you see there's a couple of these trees, these fir trees. You know, they'll have to be replaced with a new, smaller, like a 3-inch diameter instead of a 15-inch diameter tree.
Yeah, but in the same location, nothing's being pushed.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. The
All
intent is that the road will stay, you know, in the end.
Well, when do you guys put that in writing to my mother that how when you disturb stuff, it's going to be put back? When do they do that part of it?
That would
There's not.
probably come up in the next phase here.
Yeah.
You know, sit down with you and discuss like every item and artifact, the fencing, the trees.
Okay.
You know what will happen with those.
Okay. That's what I want. That's what I needed to know. When you're gonna, if somebody's actually going to sit with her and tell us what they're going to do here, as far as the landscape and I don't know if you're planning on using the land like the other construction crew did to put all the dirt and all that. No, is that going to be brought up or?
You know, so that's goes to the means and methods of the contractor, and we can't dictate what they do. But certainly, if they they will need to find a staging area to work from, and if you were interested and willing to work with them, I'm sure they would be happy to discuss it with you and come up with some kind of agreement between you folks, or they would have to find a different staging area, not on your property, that's somewhere else that's hopefully nearby.
Yeah.
But certainly they're not going to use your property without.
Yeah. No. Okay.
John?
Yep.
This is John McDonald. We live
John.
right down the road, right off the screen on the right.
Okay.
We're seeing the line, looks like it travels beyond Mrs. Young's property outside of the roadway. Well, I guess it stops right there. So I guess we won't be affected.
Would this be your driveway here?
We're the next one over.
Okay, over here.
Not on the picture there. We're at Ira's old place.
Okay.
Well, that's way down Iris.
Yeah. So the limit of the work is here, like 50 feet over from Mrs. Young's property line.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Ask him if there's about that ditch.
Excuse me? So anyway, so I guess that discusses the limit of the work up that way. If we, excuse me, sorry about that. If we look at like what the intent is, there's basically 3 different treatments along the, so here's the river edge is down here. This hatching with big circles in it and denotes the limits of a stone filled, very large stone, like 4-foot diameter stone toe berm that would be built up along the edge of the river. And in this intermediate area, they would just be regraded to a 2-1-1 slope. You know, so 2 feet horizontal to 1 foot vertical, which is steep, but generally stable slope. And then this area in front of Mrs. Young's house where there is the crack in the pavement and notice the road moving. We're looking at having a specialty geotechnical contractor come in and do what's called a soil nail wall, or they can generally work from the road surface with basically an excavator with a very fancy attachment on the end of it, which drills kind of at a 45-degree angle from the slope and puts what they call a soil nail in. And it's basically it's a metal tube that they can put in tension and grout in with concrete that stabilizes the slope underneath the roadway. And that's, you know, a very technical specialty contractor item, which is the real, one of the real expensive components of the project. And so the hope is that we wouldn't have to do it the entire length of the project, but just where the worst part of the failure is here. And here there's you know, there's additional material that we think may have been placed back when the previous project was done on the other side. And so they would be removing a lot of that material to obtain that 2-on-1 slope I was talking about. If I look at a cross section, here. So looking at in section view, you know, if this is the roadway, that soil nail wall would be the first part of it, which would be steep and slope, steeper than normal. And then this, the 2-on-1 turf reinforcement matting, which would end up just being, you know, a grass or, you know, meadowy surface. And then down below here would be the large stone berm at the edge of the river.
I thought the top of the hill was unstable, not the bottom.
No, they're putting the pins in.
So are there any questions about the section view of the plan?
No.
Ask them about that. Because when they put those rocks, when you
Tom?
drill for those rods to go in,
Yeah.
what if the ground where my home is not stable? That's going to do something to the foundation of my home. Where if you're drilling in, how far in are you going into that bank?
So that that's determined by the specialty contractor. So I mean, so if this is the surface of the roadway, their equipment is sitting right here, and your home is, you know, another 60, 70 feet back away from the surface of the roadway. So their equipment is sitting right there, and so they have a lot of ability to analyze the soil and to analyze the stability of it, and do exactly what's necessary to stabilize it.
Because we're not sure how far the erosion has gone underneath. It's possible you have underground erosion too, right?
No, well,
If your road is cracking across and lengthwise, there has to be some underground erosion going on.
well, it does look like it's fallen vertically here, but it's we don't think that oil is like moved out from under here.
Yeah, but you're not absolutely, there's no way you're going to be absolutely 100% sure that's not happening.
Well, that's the task of the geotechnical specialty contractor, that they have to provide assurances that it meets the required stability for a traveling roadway and for the area of the project.
Would a company like that, I'm guessing, have specialized equipment like ground penetrating radar where they could actually see if there was voids or something? Is that what they do?
Yeah, they have all kinds of stuff, and then like things. So like what the geotechnical consultants that have and provided, from both the Agency of Transportation and the private firm that we hired, they're working off of information that they got from 4 borings that were drilled along the project site. So they've drilled borings down to like 80 feet deep and analyzed the soil all along the way in those 4 columns. So what happens with this specialty contractor is they will come in and drill these tubes at this 45-degree angle, and in each and every one of them they drill, they're getting additional information about the condition of the soils, and so they're able to respond to what if they did find a void, then they could tailor the solution to solve that problem. Or if they found wetter soils than expected, they can amend the grout and nailing system that they're planning on using. So,
And how would they correct that? How would they?
The thing is, so like with each and every nail that they drill, they're finding more information and they're tailoring the length of the nails and the materials that they use in order to be certain to stabilize the slope.
There's nothing else that they can use other than that system to find out that?
Well, yeah, that they've looked at this slope and they've determined that that's likely to be the solution to use here.
I know, but don't you always have a plan B if A doesn't work?
Yeah, well, and that's what I've just described, is that they're in using this system, they're able to amend it and adjust it as needed to deal with the conditions that they're observing.
So if something happens to Mrs. Young's house, who's reliable? The town?
Somebody is.
I'm not certain what the liability implications are. That's
Well,
think
that's a good question,
I
Richard.
think
But I don't know the answer to that question about the liability concerns. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not, I'm not the one to answer that question for you. I can pass the chain and get you an answer, though.
Obviously,
Before that happens, though, this is going to be in writing.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I have to have
that.
some protection here.
Yep.
part of that special contractor that do they have they obviously must have equipment where they could actually put on Mrs. Young's home to see if there was any movement or anything. There must be something. I'm asking if that's usually part of a normal procedure, or is that something we'd have to ask for extra to know that if there was any movement, if they've got all this special equipment, they sure as heck's got something to tell if her foundation's being undermined.
I think that's a good point, and I think that I would expect that they would probably do a very thorough pre-construction survey
Because
to
obviously,
see the condition of the home prior to the commencement work, and then and then monitor it through construction and at the completion of the project to see if there has been
exactly. Obviously the Youngs need need protection here. They need
Yeah,
to protect their home, and
There's one-
obviously something needs to be in solid writing.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
everybody.
Yes.
It's no double talk. Everybody understands we're all on the same page, and this is all part of the process. So I think as long as the Youngs know that I'm speaking for myself, but I'm certain I'm speaking for the board that we don't want anything happening to your property, and we're gonna do everything we can to make sure that it's at least monitored. And if something happens, we'll have to figure out who is liable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kyle, I just want to let you in. One of my biggest nervous things is I heard it last fall and I heard it again when they put them nails. They're looking for stuff when they're putting them nails in. I'm kind of nervous about those nails.
Well, the problem is I've only been watching before I was on the board. I was watching the meetings, and it's part of the process, though. And I understand what you're saying, and my home's not in front of it, so. But that's part of the process. When they start to drill, if they find something they weren't expecting, well, then they like John was saying, then that is plan B. Okay, well, something happens. Well, there's plan C. It's not just as easy as just driving these nails in. Okay, the problem solved. So,
Right, I understand that, but
got to start somewhere, though. That's the thing, right?
right.
Gotta,
But I don't want to go through the whole alphabet either.
us either,
saying,
right?
Kyle?
Nobody wants to go through the whole alphabet, but bottom line, something
That's
has
right.
to be done. This road's going to be sitting in the river, so something has to be done. And I'm certain with they can put a man on the moon pretty easy nowadays. I'm certain they can figure this road out.
I hear you.
Right, and I would agree with Kyle that we certainly don't want anything to happen to the Young's property. We understand we need to fix this road, and with the state and the engineers and various people, this is for them what they consider the best option.
You think it's good that the tankers are driving by here 26 times?
Here, here.
Huh?
I said, this is John McDonald. Here, here.
Yeah,
The tanker
26
trucks,
travels.
the manure
One right
trucks,
after the other. 50
and
miles an hour.
you ain't kidding.
And they don't give a shit if you're pulling out in the road or what you're doing. No respect at all.
It's not that, it's the weight.
Shouldn't
on the
that be
road.
governed a little bit on the road being in the shape it's in?
Well,
Yeah, well,
you can't
Yeah. Can't
stop
step on
them
too
from
many
going on
toes.
there, but
Better to step
Heidi's
on one toe
brought
than
that up,
another.
and that's kind of, I'm sorry, but that's outside the scope of our.
It should be in somebody's scope.
Well, I can mention that, I can just touch on that because I think that your opinion is well supported. There's a lot of weight on the road, and the town did continue to keep the weight restriction on that road despite the fact that the bridge is open. So we applied to AOT and said, we would like limited weight on that road. So that is posted, that's in effect. However, the town's hands are kind of tied with agricultural vehicles because they don't have to follow the same rules. So
Even though your road is going,
yeah, the only way that we could keep them off, and I'll double check these facts and make sure I'm not telling you anything incorrectly, but what we've been told is if the road is open, agricultural vehicles have the ability to travel. So it's been a concern for the bridge all along, and it's a concern now. We're a little bit at a loss for how to remedy it.
what happened to the idea of the one lane with the light? Taking the load off the top of the hill where, the base where it was bad. Are you not gonna do that at all? Don't you think that would, kind of put a limit on how much traffic can come through here?
It's definitely
People-
something that's been discussed. It's very costly, and it has a lot of impact because we couldn't do it for a while and then reopen it. So
I know, but is there a cheap way of fixing this road?
No.
All right.
How fast, how
Unfortunately.
long is it gonna be before it gets fixed?
Well, with the environmental review, it's looking like it's next year, not this year.
Next year.
This is
Next
John
year.
McDonald again. Wasn't this fixed like 12 years ago?
Not the same spot.
No,
Yeah, directly
Yeah.
adjacent to it to the southwest.
Okay,
And that bank has never let go since then.
that's good to hear.
Correct.
yeah. So the lane closure, that goes back to the select board. They could petition the project to close one lane.
I would just think you'd be looking for ways to save as much of this road as you can if you're a year down the road for even thinking about fixing it. I would think you'd be looking for things to do to try to keep as much of that top bank as you can keep.
Mhm.
This is Jenny McDonald. Is it possible to rip-wrap the top area? And Jenny and John McDonald, is it possible to rip-wrap with some large stone the top for, the foreseeable future until we can get to the repair? Or something we can do with some either wire netting, something we can have temporary that might make sense that they may even be able to reuse later on by pulling it out and reusing that stone lower?
The concern with something like that is that it's actually adding weight to the top of the slope and adding a driving force to push it and basically to cause it to fail, as opposed to saving it from failure. So the riprap at the top of the slope is not considered a possible either short-term or long-term solution.
So weight is certainly contributing to the failure of this road.
Question.
It's, they don't want to add a permanent load to it.
well, what does a tanker shit weigh?
About 40,000.
And you got the road posted for 15.
Yep. Just the
Yeah, that
tractor
works-
alone
that
is
works-
probably
that
somewhere
works
between
well.
15 and 20.
That works well.
And you mean to tell me if you presented that to someone, they wouldn't see why you need to get it off the road?
There's ain't there a agricultural department or something that works with you on that? Or Ken or something that is brought to them? I'm sure, I'm not that good at that, but I've heard enough about the tankers and stuff that I think there
Well,
is.
it's not just tankers, it's the plows.
But the other day I mowed and there was 26. I mean,
Different trucks.
they're
26 ag vehicles.
just, and it's all the farmers that are trucked up to Richford and it's not just here. They're using a road to get somewhere quicker. And to me, there should be a limit to it. Half these guys driving the truck shouldn't even be driving them anyway. So, but whatever, they're going through here 50. It's depressing to watch it.
Yeah, especially as bad as the road is.
Yeah, unfortunately, ag has their own set of rules.
Yeah.
Are they going to contribute to those repairs? Because it seems like the unregulated vehicles are heavily contributing to our problem.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Agree with you. Somebody's got to step up. The town's got to step up to them or something. I think there's an apartment you can go to.
There is.
Yes,
So-
there is. I know there is. I
So let's-
studied it.
So why
Sure.
don't you approach that department?
Don't want to piss the farmer off.
Sure.
Well, we have definitely pursued weight limitations aggressively. There was fines posted down there, but
Did it do any good on the bridge?
we can't
No.
get DMV to enforce weight restrictions on agricultural vehicles. So I'm just going to try to direct that discussion. We do have Representative Lisa Hanko on the line, and I think that perhaps that's a discussion that we can elevate to a different level, because the town does not have the ability to make that happen.
Can I ask you something? When they put the mark, what do they call that when they mark the traffic on the road? For traffic control.
Traffic
They put-
study?
No, isn't it a thing that you drive over and it keeps
Yeah.
The
So they
counters,
have those that would would also pick up the weight of the traffic that's going and what is going across this road. Wouldn't that be a good idea to
50
do?
miles an hour.
We actually have data on this road that we collected for the bridge. So a lot of traffic and very heavy traffic.
But you didn't get any fines collected for the traffic over that bridge when you wanted them.
There's no cops posted.
Enforcement will not issue tickets to agricultural vehicles. So
No, great. That's ridiculous.
They should help pay for this road then.
I can summarize those comments and forward them along, because I think that you're not alone in that concern. But go ahead, John. I was just going to say, I think we should let John talk about his part. And I just want to also note for the record that DeWolf is creating these designs. They're also being reviewed by the engineers at VTrans. They're going through these things, commenting on them, making suggestions. So there's another set of eyes on these as well. And they have, you know, the final say on what the design will be.
Okay, thank you.
so I think that really is pretty much summarizes what the project entails and what it will be. I don't know if there's more to say about it at this point.
Well, I'll ask a question, because we started the conversation about the archaeological investigation on the northwest side of the road. And I did mention to you that the town was under the impression that there had been previous drainage installed on that side of the road. The Public Works Department was under the same impression and willing to show where the drainage comes out. So as far as the further archaeological assessment, I think that should be approved, conditioned upon the need based on the knowledge that there is drainage.
Okay.
Was previously installed.
Yeah, so if let's look back here. So I know that so the town road crew believes that there is drainage installed along this side of the roadway.
Yeah.
So, like, if they have any more information on how far off the edge of the road it is and the extent of it, because that would be that would certainly be helpful. And that, but I know that there's we're showing past the limit of the work. You know, if this is the limit of the work here, Mrs. Young's house is over there. There we are showing the pipe coming out of the slope here off the limit of the work. Now, whether or not there's anything else coming out here, and more importantly, you know, is there documentation of excavation and placement of the pipe in this area that's the additional area of potential effect that Harchin is being tasked with looking at. You know, so I understand what you're saying is that if we can prove that this is already disturbed, why do we have to go and look for artifacts in there? But I
Well,
need to know where that is.
Yes, and I believe it is installed within the road right away. And the Public Works Department would have to tell you the location,
Okay.
but what they described was drainage pipe with holes in it, buried 10 to 12 feet below ground.
So
And
I guess, I
coming
mean,
out of the bank.
so who should I talk to at Public Works to see if I can get some more documentation?
Well, I'll, again, those emails that I was forwarding to you, that's our Public Works Director, Butch
Okay.
Busso. And I can arrange some communication tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy to talk to
Heidi?
them.
Yeah,
Question.
yes.
Back when the initial project was done, how far to the north of the road did they go with the excavation activities? I know they, from looking at pictures, I seem to recall they disturbed quite a lot of ground.
This is Jenny
And there's a lot of
McDonald.
documentation of that initial project.
This is Jenny McDonald.
Hello, Jenny.
Hi. Going on what the gentleman was just talking about, I believe, if I recollect, that it did come quite far north, actually, maybe even onto our property. But I believe it was done or had plans done from GW Tatros in Jeffersonville. So they may have archived those plans if somebody wants to take on that lead. And I know Heidi has worked with them in the past.
Yes, and John is in possession of all of the information that we had from the past plan. And Mrs. Young shared a whole photo album with us as well. And I believe that, John, you connected with the other firm that had designed the last one from Montpelier.
Correct, or actually the contractor that installed it. And we didn't have all of their documentation, but again, all of that work terminated here.
Yes, yes.
From this point south.
Okay.
For, you know, so this is the limit of that previous project. But then, you know, but I'm not saying that there isn't drainage installed here.
She found that there is.
Or any other utility, but
And so if the drainage pipe that you pointed to that's coming out of the bank, would that be from a different source?
no, well, I mean, this is not, no, it could certainly be, you know, then some distance down this way, you know, then that could, but like, I'm just saying that like we have here where it comes out of the slope, but that doesn't give me any information about where it is along the length of the project on Mrs. Young's side of the roadway.
Excuse me.
If I may,
Yep.
we're looking at $4,200 additional cost. Is the town's share of that 20%?
Well, yes, it's all in the big project.
This is what they put in over
It's
All
there.
right, so basically
There's nothing
we're
there.
looking at $200 and
No,
change.
I'm telling you, it's pipe.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. The
Yeah, and
drainage
I don't
they're
know
talking
any
about
other
is
way
in
that
that
we
other.
can determine where the drainage is other than to have them dig. So I guess you make an excellent point, Bruce.
I don't see that we can do anything other than just question the people at the state very pointedly and tell them to make their decision and get on with it.
And Heidi, shouldn't the town have some documentation of that?
Yeah, we have given all of our information to John, but there was no information on that drainage. So I don't know if it was an after the fact decision.
Heidi, this is Steve.
Yes,
I don't believe there's a drainage tile. I went as far as the other fence line on the south end of the property. They didn't dig and put a drainage in front of the house, and that drainage line was something that my father had talked to the engineer about because we held water back there. And that's when he decided to do it. And that was
And if
the
you look in
engineer.
the pictures, she has pictures of that pipe in the ground.
But I don't remember any drainage being put in front of the house.
There was none.
But something you need to find out, because I don't believe there was.
well, I'd say you would be a pretty good witness, so.
Well, I know my father had talked to them quite a long. He's pretty smart as far as coming up with stuff, and he got them to drain along that bad part,
On that other
and
lot.
that was it.
And
On
they
the
drove-
other lot.
And they put
So
the pipe
are
through
you
there.
talking about over here, Steve?
No,
No,
it'd be towards.
down here.
I'm trying to figure.
Right there.
It'd be down towards. No, this is where your trees are. It's down towards my brother's. It'd be south.
Okay.
And if you look at the lawn out there, if you come up where the fence ends, there's a spot where they tapered it down and everything, and that pipe is there.
I have a
Okay.
picture of it.
And they went up the road and they took and drained some from there, and that's it. And they caught that because Dad told them that's where there's a. And the guy said, "No, you're absolutely right." And they put a tile in there, but never did I hear them say they were putting a tile in front of the house, or Dad say they put a tile in front of the house. Not at all.
Okay.
The work didn't go beyond where they fixed. I mean, it may have went a few feet, but
It
not
didn't go
far.
beyond that guardrail
So,
where it's
Right.
I
fixed.
mean,
They didn't dig up the road beyond there. The pictures show it.
Okay, so
if
I
they
guess,
went 12. Yeah,
I
sorry.
guess that takes us back to needing that further assessment.
Okay.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions for John?
Yes, John, is there a projected timeline once this project starts for it to be completed? You know, of course, there could be things that come up, but there must be some projection.
I'm sorry, I don't have like what the construction schedule would be, but that should be something that will be
We take them
this summer and can share that with you when we have a better idea what it would be.
Should ask them what the readings are on those wells.
And there will be another meeting. We are, in this grant program, we will be holding another public meeting once these designs make it through the environmental review. Then John will be able to take them to the next phase, and then we will hear about it at that point.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I don't have anything for John, but I've got something that when he's completely done his presentation before the Youngs leave, I've got something I'd like to add.
Okay. John, thank you for coming and presenting us with a plan.
Before John goes, could we just have the select board make a decision on the Hartgen proposal for 4,100 to do that archaeological assessment?
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
John.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Kyle?
Good,
Thank you.
Good seeing you all.
Take care.
You too.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Kyle, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, Sharon, I don't know what the proper procedure is. I don't know if I need to make a motion but I want us on the next board meeting, the next agenda, that we sit down and find out exactly what our options are to make that road a single lane or whatever we need to do. If there's possibly a way of local traffic only signs, and that we make a decision within at least within a month after that meeting, that we make a decision to see what we can do to try to give that road some relief. I know this was just talked about before I was on the board, and I know there's a lot to it. It's not as easy as just putting it in one way. I know that. I know the state cringes on doing this, but I don't see any other way of giving that road some relief unless we do just that. And to the Youngs, it's, believe me, we feel your pain. We do. I do. And but when it comes to ag, it's not a matter of not wanting to tick off the farmers, because we don't. However, these roads were never designed for that they have today. The equipment they have today is twice, 3 times the size, weight, and these roads simply can't take it. So unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do with fines and so forth, but I really would like to see if there's something that we need to do something to slow the traffic down and to lighten the load. So again, I don't know if I need to make a motion to do that or just ask that be put on the next agenda.
No, you can just ask to have it put on, Kyle. That's perfectly acceptable.
So that's what I'm asking, please.
Okay, Heidi?
Yep.
You can make that so.
Will do.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Any other comments about the Macy Road? All right. Moving on. Do we have Shelley?
We actually have the vendor permit application from Mark and Carol Langlois.
Okay.
And Mark is on the Zoom with us. So he has submitted a request and picture to use the Village Core Master Plan, former Macy property, to park his concession trailer there on Friday afternoons from 3 to 7:30 and on weekends from 11 to 7:30. Weather and business pending. He submitted a photo of the trailer as well as a traffic site plan for your consideration per your vending ordinance. This falls to the select board rather than the DRB. It's a very old vending license ordinance.
Okay, so we have some concerns about the Brownsfield work that was there, and Greta seems to be concerned about that as well.
Greta said that we would definitely have to get permission from the Agency of Natural Resources to utilize that property. We were given a permission to hold the community celebration there last summer as a one-time shot, just having parking in the area where the known contamination is, which is in the area right beside where the old Steinauer Cafe is. So Mark is looking at parking up by, and basically in the same location you were in last summer. Is that correct, Mark?
Yeah, well, it's off the road quite a ways so people can pull in and do curbside if it need be or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So he would be over by where the land was that we got from the school, right? Oh, he wouldn't be on the Macy property, right? If he was parked in the same area that he was parked, he would be in that little I call it a little park of maples there.
Yeah, it was way back last year. Yeah.
Yeah,
Back by the
he
river
wasn't
for
even
bike trip.
he wasn't even on the Macy property. So would that make a difference, Heidi?
Well, I think it's all in Brella, but I would agree with you that he is removed in that area from the contamination. So that would be something that we could raise with A&R, but it is ultimately up to them because we've got the whole parcel in the Brella, the limited liability program.
Right, and the drawing doesn't show it where it was last summer.
Okay.
The drawing shows it closer to the road than the house and the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't draw it back like it was way back last year. I didn't know it was contaminated just till a couple days ago after I put that paperwork in. I knew nothing about the contamination till then, but I just being back that far. I don't know if they enter from the Gore Road or if they have to enter from 78 to get there. I'm not sure. Be a long trek back there if you come on from 78 to go out back probably. But.
He'd probably have to enter from the Gore Road, right?
Right. I don't know where you'd park if you did that way, but you'd be driving on the walking path probably. But
yeah, because
I'm just looking for an idea in general. If you guys got a different place you think would be just as good, go. I'm not set to be right there. It's anywhere in the village. I'm thinking, you know what I mean. I don't have a problem where we are, but more just trying to keep the food trailer local for the local people. More than anything, nothing else. Like you said, there's nothing going on right now for anybody, and I think a little local food in the area on the weekends would probably help things a little bit. Help me, anyways. See how everything's canceled all of a sudden. But.
Right.
Darren.
Yeah.
Yeah. Question for would we have to ask our local vendors in town, you know, or go ahead with it, or would we try to be polite about it and ask them if they had a problem with it?
I could certainly reach out to our local folks.
It's a different venue, I think, but
correct, yeah.
You know,
Nobody
I think
Boise Burger. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I did copy the neighboring businesses that I had contacts for. I copied DeSorcy's and Valley and Jolly and Wilkins. Sorry, the vet. So,
did you have any responses?
I did not. No.
When did you send the email?
Probably Monday. It certainly, I think it's a legitimate issue that Richard brings up. We've had people ask if they could sell things in the park and ride before, and other businesses that were paying tax on brick and mortar said that's not fair. You do have a vending ordinance for a reason. That said, it's really up to the group how they feel about it. The other businesses may feel like it's a bonus for them, or they may feel like it's competition. I'm unclear.
So I will throw out that I did speak to Ferdinand Gagne this morning, and that the Field Days is considering a Friday night fried food vendor collection at the Field Days site, having drive-by concessions. So that would be another thing to bring up to our local people if they had concerns about that.
So you're saying, Sharon, over the summer, there'd be various Friday nights?
That was my understanding. I think they were just throwing that idea around now, depending on what the governor's office told them about their ability to go forward with field days. They were pretty certain the field days was going to be canceled, according to what they had heard so far. But they were thinking of doing something, and they were thinking of asking their vendors to come on Friday nights, and you do exactly like a drive-through, and you order your food, pull down, they bring it out to you, take your money. So that you could go for cotton candy or maple creamies or burgers and fries. We just drive through. But like I said, that is something that they are considering as well.
So my question is, Sharon, do we have another place besides the Macy property that we could set him up?
Does he have interest in buying, is Joey's Junction still for sale?
No. No.
It's not? Oh.
Pardon the dog's bark.
Even he knew it wasn't for sale. My understanding is that that is not for sale. I know the guy who does maintenance, lawn maintenance and so forth, and I believe from what he told me, he intends on coming back within another year, possibly opening it up again.
I've reviewed that ordinance a few times, and I can't, there's mention of vending, but like this is on municipal property and it doesn't really cover that. And the dog's disagreeing with me again. No, but here we go. I don't feel like I have a problem with it. I'm trying to frame or come up with an opinion. You know, what happens if we have other vendors that come in and want to use that same property? We're really not covered in this ordinance on a process on municipal property. And that's, you know, but I'm not against it. I'm still trying to form my opinion, because I definitely, you know, with some food sensitivity issues going on around here, I don't think it would hurt to have a local restaurant, if you want, you know, call it that, right here in town. So I'm trying to form my opinion.
Mark,
the other question, well,
Mark, I'm assuming you carry an insurance policy as well.
Oh, yeah, health certificates, health inspected, mobile catering license. Yeah, I got a $2 million liability policy.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to ask.
Okay.
I'm in the same camp as Randy. I think we should look in this further and see more. We need to make sure we're protecting ourselves. I love the idea of having a local private business be able to do something. I love the idea of it. Got no problem with it, but I'm still kind of in Randy's camp of forming the opinion. I just think we need to look a little deeper, talk to some people. As far as other vendors, I guess my opinion would be, if they wanted to do it, they should have asked first. So I don't have an issue with that, but we just need to make sure that we're covered. You're not going to make everybody happy, so someone won't be happy that if it happens. But you gotta look out for the many, not the few.
So I got
Now,
something
if I was
to add.
on somebody's private property, how would that rate with you guys? Is there something you guys can do about that? Or like, I'm not saying I asked anybody yet, but like where the daycare center is in Highgate, you know, if I rented a spot off from them, or I don't plan on leaving the trailer there at night, so I go home every night. You know what I mean? So it's not like an issue. Bring our own onboard water and everything with us when we go in there and stuff like that. But I mean, the trailer won't be there all the time. We pulled in and pulled out daily when we're there on the Friday nights and stuff. But I haven't asked nobody yet, but I mean, is that an issue there, going somewhere else to rent a spot off somebody? Or?
My opinion on that is, reviewing the ordinance as written, we wouldn't really have, there'd be no issue. We would have no, as long as you follow the permit process, I don't think there's anything we could really say or do about it. But having
The
a,
vendor permit still.
yeah,
Yeah.
but obviously that's a church and probably nonprofit, and
Right.
they may be limited in what they can do, but if there's other private property.
Right.
Ty?
Oh, I know we talked at our last rec meeting about now that the state's opened up farmers markets, Dan's our rec director's going to go to some and find some vendors, and we're trying to bring back the farmers market. And one of the ideas to get people to come to the farmers market was to get a food vendor there on a Friday night, do the farmers market. You know, if sometime during this summer we can get a live music venue and incorporate more things to get more people to go. So that is on the radar in the rec department at the arena parking lot. It's still, they just opened up farmers markets last week, so it's still early on.
Well, and that would be a great, collaboration between the two, between the rec board and Mark, because that would give him, an audience, and customers that come, and hopefully that could help a farmer's market as well. But he'd like to, I'm sure,
Yeah.
like to go quickly.
Yep.
Bruce? Bruce?
Yes,
Thoughts?
I don't have any problem with it. I'm not sure what A&R, how they're going to weigh in on it, but they seem to me like they'd be the biggest obstacle.
Richard?
I don't have no problem with it. I kind of go with Kyle and Randy.
Try not leave it.
Okay, so do you want to discuss it further and get back to Mark? Or do you want to table it until next meeting?
Do we just want to go ahead, try to make a motion to approve it pending A&R's, approval on site location?
You certainly could.
Or also move.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So pending the approval of our Brownsfield rep and considering what we have to do, you would have the approval of the select board.
All right. Thank you, guys.
I got just one more question on that.
Yes, Ty.
Are you going to make it so I know there's so it's no seating areas, or just drive through, curbside, you're going to make a recommendation to them?
Right. As of right now, the state guidelines, there's no seating allowed as of this time. I got a plexiglass window in the trailer that I'm going to be using, so they can come to the window to order. And curbside, I have a phone number, as far as curbside, if people don't want to get out of their cars, everybody will be wearing their mask and their gloves, like per the health department regulations now. I mean, we're up to snuff on all that stuff right now, but if they want to get delivery to the cars, it'll be delivered with a mask and gloves. And I got a portalette will be on site if you guys recommended one. I was brought up in one of the emails I got for getting a portalette there just for the staff, or somebody does want to use it, you know what I mean? But that's all been checked in on. It can happen too if it need to be done.
Should
So-
we black out one date? Just thinking back to the Maha fundraiser. May 30th, I think, is what Maha wants to do for the chicken drive-through.
Correct, yeah.
Just try to make sure everybody's happy here.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
What kind of hours are you talking, Mark, on the weekends?
Just for now, on Friday nights, I was thinking in the afternoon to Friday night to 7:30ish, and on Saturday and Sundays for now. I mean, if it's going to be so crazily busy, there's a lot of cars, we can extend it more days. It's up to you guys, obviously. Pine Cone is not even open yet this year, and people are just kind of food out there in the streets. I think it's going to bring more people to the town and stuff like that, as far as spending more money. Want to get a soda or whatever, or creamy after or whatever, I think it's going to help out. But I do have a lot over in the islands I can rent. I've already looked into it last fall, but going through the permits process and stuff like that, it's a lot further for me to travel to get there every day to work. And I'd just rather keep it local for the local people who know us and stuff like that.
Okay, Heidi, can you make sure to keep Mark in the loop and the select board in the loop on what Greta has to say going forward?
Yep, will do.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Thanks,
Thank
Mark.
you,
Great
everybody.
idea. Hopefully
Thanks, Mark.
works out.
Yep.
Okay. Now we're on to Shelley.
I'm here.
Okay. So I did have one question. Beagle boarding.
Wendy could probably explain more of the situation, but I know Christy had several beagles dropped off by Vonnie, and she had boarded them. Wendy, you want to touch on what the situation was?
What I know is that it was a whole litter that were picked up, and I honestly don't know the details, what town they even came from, if they were even Highgate dogs. I assume they were, but they ended up at Christie's for a number of days until she could rehome them. I think at one point they were even too little to be rehomed. How long did she have them, Shelley?
She said she's only charging for 12 days. She had them from March 30th to April 10th. So a solid 10 days, 11.
Okay.
No. 3:30, sorry, 3:30 to 4. She wrote it wrong. She's charging us from 3:30 to 4:10. She had them from 3:30 to 4:23. So almost a month.
Okay, I think he had them a while because they were so young.
Oh,
okay. And she charged us for 12 nights at $40 a night.
Okay. All right. Anyone else have any questions about the check warrants?
No.
I don't.
Okay. So can I have a motion to accept the check warrants and to be signed at a later date?
I'll make a motion to sign the check warrant or approve the check warrant and sign it at a later date.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 How's everything else going, Shelley?
Pretty well, the same as last meeting. Right now's the time where escrow companies actually start asking who's still delinquent and sending payments, forcing people to escrow. So I have received a few payments. Also, I think Wendy's recording has been going crazy, and people refinancing and or selling, payments are coming in that way as well. So they're coming in slowly, but they're coming.
Okay.
Shelley, are you staying on for the entire meeting, or are you going to leave early?
I was planning on staying on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can you touch base with Sue Coda?
Yep.
I know she was looking to give you some money.
Okay, she has not called.
Okay. Okay, any other questions for Shelley?
I'm all set.
All right.
I don't so much have a question for Shelley, but is Ty still on?
Yes.
Were those the mower? Were those repairs on the mowers? There's no description, or maybe even Shelley knows.
Yeah, it's actually from the highway. So,
Yeah.
Oh, that was highway. Okay.
Yeah.
it was from their GT 235, if that means anything to you, Randy. And it says, it just says counterparts. So they probably, it could have even been something like an oil filter. It's usually what it is.
I think it was blades and it was a bunch of miscellaneous stuff.
Yeah.
I thought I saw some expenses on the park and rec end of it too, but.
Oh, that was for the John Deere. Yep, the new one. So same. They had to do an oil change.
Okay. Oil changes are good.
Yes.
It's just sometimes these aren't super descriptive and.
No, well, sometimes the invoices aren't. I try to be as descriptive as I can, but I don't speak Sharon's language, so.
Well, the invoice doesn't have a description. It's really hard to.
Right.
And all that's required of the auditors is for the department to assign the expenditure line for me to pay it from, so.
Nope, it's all good.
Me.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Wendy.
Hello.
Hello.
You have minutes for May 7th.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the minutes from May 7th?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Do we have to? I'm not muted. Do we have to make note of the
Second.
Edit from Heidi?
Yep, I sent you all an email today that Heidi had one edit under about the local business thank you letters and plaques. And I did make that change this morning.
Okay, so as long as I guess that motion's on the edit, I'm good.
Okay. So all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay.
I'm gonna abstain. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, I just wanted to touch on the Rabies Clinic. Richard.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to thank you girls. You did a great job. I think that was that was well organized. I've heard nothing but great comments. 350 dogs I heard, right?
We had about 300, but we did almost 500 vaccinations. Yep.
Yep. Hey, I think hey, great job, girls, and putting it together. I want to say thanks to Dan. Kyle was there, Kyle's wife. A lot of people, the fire department. That was, and I'd like to see it run the same way next year. It's not crowded. The dogs weren't fighting. They weren't pooping so much. You know. Hey,
you, Richard.
How to manage that?
Hey, it was
they weren't
great.
so stressed.
Wendy,
Yeah.
how far away was the furthest person? I understood that there was people coming from different counties.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we had people from Chittenden County, and I don't even know what county it is, but we had people from the Newport area as well.
Yeah, that's what I heard, and my wife went, God bless her, and said it went awesome.
Yeah,
it did.
So-
It did.
So
The
Richard,
vet gave us
do it.
final numbers. Go ahead, Kyle.
Richard beat me to it. That's why I asked Shelley if she's going to stick around. I wanted to thank the staff from Pause for Thoughts, of course, the fire department for knowing traffic, but I especially wanted to give gold stars to Vonnie, our animal control, Wendy, and Shelley. That was a definition of organization and teamwork. You could have done any better. It went amazing, and You girls really deserve high marks and a much appreciation for all the time that you took to even to set that up. And it did. It went really well, like Richard said. And I can't thank you enough for all the time you guys put into it.
Yeah, amen to
Thank
that.
you for helping. It was a good day. It was a very good day. A lot of people were very grateful that we held it.
Yeah, I think it was wonderful. I'm very proud of all of you to stand up, and I know people are nervous and scared about this, but I think you guys did a great thing by helping all of our townspeople and our neighbors.
Yep. I was happy to do it.
Thanks again.
So thank you, everybody that helped.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for doing that.
just a reminder, we're not going to kick in late fees on dog licensing until June 2nd. So people have until June 1st. And right now we are right on the cusp of 500 licensed dogs. So we're making progress, but we still have about 400 to go, give or take. But it was a great day. So we were exhausted and filthy, but it was a good day. Next, I just wanted to talk about the municipal office itself and what's going to happen from here.
So what are your thoughts?
I would say everything's going great and people are getting what they need. We're on a listserv with 250 other towns, and towns are starting to open up by appointment to title searchers. Very limited, certain time frames, only 1 or 2 at a time. Everybody bringing their own personal protective equipment. Some are not even offering public restrooms when they come in to do searches. So Shelley and I have chatted, and I guess it's just a matter of when we start going by appointment. So I'm welcome to your feedback.
Shelley, what do you think?
June 1st seems to be the general date most other towns are throwing out there as appointment only. I do have the latest ACCD update from a few days ago, May 19th, and it does still say for the small offices, they still recommend working from home as much as possible. If we opened, like I said, the doors would probably still be locked by appointment. 1 person at a time, probably. There's no way to social distance at those research stations. So 1 researcher at a time, no public restrooms. And I don't know if it'll be 5 days a week or just a few days a week to get the people that aren't comfortable doing things by the mail in the door and able to do what they need to do.
I really only have 1 attorney that's hounding me to open. Everyone else is sending me what they need, and they're getting it with an invoice and sending a check. And like Shelley said earlier, my recording is, I am backed up weeks. It's coming in, which means business is happening. People are refining, sales are going through. So it is working. It's just taking a little longer. So I would be okay with June 1st, 1 at a time. I just don't know if it should be every day of the week or if we see how it goes and what the demand is.
Can I ask a couple questions? This is Randy.
Certainly. Yes.
Is there any limitation to the taxpayers or, development at all as far as all you can tell? Listers, are they able to do what they need to do remotely? Is everybody okay?
And Amy's all set to do her grievance hearings over Zoom. We discussed that the last time we were both in the office. Anyone that's contacted myself or Wendy, if even Ryan Maskell before the rec meeting on Monday needed help getting on Zoom and met me at the office.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody calls and they absolutely need something, we're more willing to work with them. Marriage licenses needed to be signed in front of Wendy. There's a few people that pay cash taxes, and I've told them, it's very easy to just turn the cash into a money order straight at the post office and turn around and put it in our post office box. for, $1.
I haven't
Permits
received
are-
any. Go ahead, please.
The permits are coming in steadily for Sam.
I think I counted 7 on the wall when I was in there this morning.
Well, she's got about 6 or 7 more in her inbox to process
So-
tomorrow. So that's moving forward. I think
So-
the next PRB meeting is going to be a Zoom meeting. That agenda's already full.
Spoke with her
So-
this morning about that, so she's prepared to host that meeting via Zoom.
Okay.
That's good. Are there opportunities to make things go smoother in this remote world? And what I'm thinking is, are there forms that could be, provided on our website that could be more electronic or more automated? Are there opportunities we should be working with Bouchard, for instance, to just smooth out some processes so it's not so manual?
Like a fillable PDF?
Yeah, or SharePoint, or if anything we could think of that's been kind of a pain-sake, I think we should really take this opportunity to look at making our processes a little more streamlined. And I'm not saying they're not, because I don't know them through and through. But if there are things that we're having to, print, mail, have it signed, mail back, why would we not try to automate that a little bit and make it a fillable form that could be electronically signed and just find those efficiencies?
I can't speak for all of them, but I know some people, the permits have been printed in their own home from our website and mailed in. The problem is with everything needing to be recorded is we need paper anyway. And I think you're going to find in our community, less people know how to do electronic signature than more.
Mm-hmm.
So some people prefer paper, unfortunately. But most of the stuff is on our website. If we have it, it's on the website. You can make a tax payment on the website. You can make a dog payment on the website. You can pay for your Parks and Rec. I mean, there's Municipay's right there. There's a link. They can look at a tax bill. They can look at a Lister card. The only thing that Wendy and I spoke about is making land records more electronic. I think it'd be nice to speak to other towns and see if they've lost revenue in the vault time going that way, but it would make sense being that we can't social distance with the researchers. Just seeing how their revenue looks when they went electronic with the land records, but it would be easy for all of the researchers accessing it from their office.
Okay, thank you.
Heidi,
Yes.
your thoughts?
About improving efficiency with technology.
No, about going back to work in the office.
Well, for me, the folks that I'm seeing are limited. I'm not at the counter. I don't work the cash register, so it's not a lot of face-to-face for me. So I certainly am not able to serve people. So I don't think my performance has been hampered at all. And I have to say that I've been able to do several Zoom conferences that are, it's actually been helpful. It's an acceleration for me, I think. With this, when there are large applications to work on, it's nice to have a little bit of quiet. The office can get noisy, and sometimes I have to stand in line and wait to use the copier. And, so I don't mind it.
Okay. Board? Bruce, you want to start with your thoughts?
I think if we can reopen a little bit by appointment, that's probably a positive thing.
Okay, Richard?
Same thing. I'll go along with Bruce.
So does that mean you want to start appointments now? or
Yes.
you wanna wait?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, when they said, that, you know, yeah. I don't have no problem with it.
Okay, Randy?
We're doing appointment by appointment right now, right? In a way, we're going in as needed.
Right. Right.
The proposal on the table is to go as is until June 1st.
Right.
Start letting people in June 1st by appointment, title searchers.
I'm good with that. I haven't had any complaints to me. There's some folks that want the office open, but to me, it's not closed. So,
Yeah.
and I feel like that if the needs are met, and I have a wicked technology bias here, so working remotely is in kind of my wheelhouse. I think we're meeting the needs of the residents of Highgate, so I'm good.
Kyle?
I have no problem with the wait until June 1st, I guess, to go by appointment if that's what everyone agrees with. I don't know. I guess my question is, as far as with Heidi working from home, if that's something that how is that going to look? Is what I'm hearing is it actually works better for her to work from home? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I
Is
would
that-
say there's some efficiencies for me that have been gained, and there are advantages. I still, last night I was at the office until 8 because I had to do a big printing and a scanning, and that's not efficient for me here. So going in then is practical. So there are times that it makes sense for me to go in.
So I guess how I feel about that is, I guess until the office is open, back to whatever normal is going to be. I like the idea of people being there myself, but if people can't actually get in to see you to do to do what they want to do, then I guess we could keep it the same way as we're going. But I would like to see, obviously, we all want to see things get back to some kind of normal again. And people back in their chairs and people being able to work. So I know I'm mumbling here a bit because my brain's going, I'm thinking of several different things, and I guess let's just keep it going the way it's going. But I just want to see people back in their chairs as soon as we can. That's all.
Yeah, and I guess my thought is I'd like to see the ladies there, but I will let the rest of the board make their opinion known by vote.
Can you unravel that a bit? Because I don't feel like your opinion's any lesser than the rest of the board. I'd like to hear that out and just kind of peel that back a bit.
Well, I am hearing complaints and why isn't it open? Other places are open. You can meet up to, 10 or more people now. Why is the town not at work?
I hear that, but I'd like to remind folks that what century are we in? And, we have the technology.
Actually working more now than I do at my desk. And in the sense of my first email reply this morning was when I had my coffee at 7 a.m. I don't get to my desk until 8:30. I leave my desk at 4:30. My last sent email last night was at 5:30 to date last night. I'm available because my computer's here and I'm working. So if I hear it ding, I'm going to reply. I feel I'm more available now than I am at my desk.
I think that there's a lot of studies out there about folks, staff that work remotely or from home. And, I subscribe to that in a way. It doesn't work in every business, but I feel like with what the town of Highgate is doing, I think we can provide really good service, working from home. And I realize we're in Franklin County, Vermont, so some of that's hard to kind of, digest, I guess.
It's called change.
Yes. Thank you, Kyle.
You don't need to say anything more than that.
No, exactly. But I'll tell you what doesn't work great remotely is homeschooling in my house. But I am open to change, and it's just the climate we're in now. So, I mean, I do understand some folks like to come in, do face-to-face business. And I mean, why can't we do that by appointment? And that's
Well,
my
I'm
piece.
curious because the other towns are not open. They just started appointments. Sheldon's been doing it a little while. Swanton just started taking appointments this week. Their doors are not open to the public. So
I agree with that, and I bet you the further south you go, the less by appointment you get. It's going to be all remote.
I would just like to say that what Sharon is saying is, I hear what she's saying, because it's what I just said. It's change, and people don't understand they don't like change. And although I know what Wendy just said is absolutely the truth, and I got no problem to wait until June 1st for that. I got no problem with that. It's just people don't like change. You have older people in town. They want things the same. Things will never be the same again. And this is about re-educating everybody. That's in my opinion, that's what we're doing. And education ain't cheap, and it ain't easy.
Yeah, and I have no doubt that each of you are still doing a great job, that you're still doing your work, that you're still getting things completed. I don't think that's the issue. I don't know, maybe it's just that
We hear from everybody, Sharon. That's
well,
what it's
that and it.
we
I
have
guess
a lot.
We just need to let people know. We got to send the message that we're going to take care of their needs. If we can do it online or remotely, then we're going to do it. If we need to make an appointment, then I know the staff at Highgate are dedicated enough to go ahead and do what's needed.
we're already doing it.
Right. So do I have a motion on the situation?
I make that motion.
Okay.
That we have them start to accept people by appointment only June 1st. That was the date I heard.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And I'll abstain.
And I just want to put out there that it's kind of up to the governor, really, if with guidance from him on things could go backwards, and we may not be able to do that, is all I'm saying.
Right, right.
Okay. So the only other thing I wanted to remind everybody of was Green Up Day is happening in some capacity. It's now May 30th. Green Up bags. I have left some at the post office and at DeSorcy's Market. I also have a box of them at the town office. I put them by the back door where they're under cover, but people have been picking them up, and I just keep replenishing the box. I also had a bunch handed out at the Rabies Clinic the other day. So, yep, so that's it for me.
Thank you.
All right, Heidi.
Okay. So I gave you an updated list of grants, including the ones that we applied for. I think I already mentioned to you that I did hear from Better Back Roads, and those grants are in limbo. No awards will be announced until some later nebulous date in the future. We still anticipate hearing on the USDA. Sorry, I'm gonna end the conference call because Lynn just left. We still anticipate hearing either the next week or the first week in June about the USDA rural development planning grants that we applied for. And we did submit both of the AOT grants for the paving on Macy Road from the bridge to the project that we just discussed, the slide at the top of the hill, and also for the replacement of the Rice Hill Road culvert with a concrete box culvert. So those have all been submitted, and the other part of the grant discussion is the Northern Borders Regional Commission, which Ty brought up some concerns at the beginning. So I'm not sure where the discussion will go, but I have the forms ready. So it's a very hefty grant to complete the application for. But there are only, this time, fewer forms for you to sign. One is the standard form 424, just explaining who we are. And there's a budget included, which was filled out by our engineer. And there's also a resolution in there clarifying several points, identifying that we are not a for-profit. We have no outstanding federal debts. We're in good standing with single audit requirements. We have no conflicts of interest in applying for this. And that we can't spend the money before we receive a notice to proceed, etc. So those forms.
So let's stop at the et cetera.
Okay.
The part of this that makes me a little nervous is you have the legal authority to sign any and all MBRC investment documents, to submit this application for funding and accept funds for the purposes outlined in this application.
So what that's saying is, so you're signing the bottom of this, and what you're stating is that the select board has the ability to do that. So you're saying that you have the right to make this application. You have a legal authority.
Yes, but it's authorizing you for that. So I want to make it clear that it's the select board's duty to sign and accept funds.
That's not how I'm reading that, but on this other form, the beginning one, you are designating me to manage those forms. So you do that for VCDP because it's an online grant program. I have to go in and initiate those documents and do the reporting. I'm the only person that goes in. So that's what they're asking for, is that same sort of designate me a point person who can do those things for you. Clearly, you will be signing contracts. When VCDP creates a contract, it's generated in the system. I print it out and bring it to the meeting for your signature. I think that you can feel confident that I'm not signing documents without the select board's authority. I'm not proceeding on issues without the select board's input.
Right, and we promised the taxpayers at our last select board meeting that we would be sure to have their approval before we went forward. So I want to make sure that we are fully responsible for that decision.
I don't think there's any way you could move forward without taxpayer approval. If you're getting any sort of funding, you would need that authorization, and clearly you wouldn't want to move forward without voter approval, whether you could or not. So,
Correct.
So is that your concern?
Well, I guess my concern is a little bit related to ties. I think we need to push a lot more information out there. We are getting more and more pushback because people don't know what's going on. So I would like for our next select board meeting to talk extensively about that. I want people to know what's going on. I want people to understand.
My question on that is, I've heard this for the last whatever many years, but how else do we get the information disseminated? We post these meetings in the public.
No, we're not posting them in the public.
Well, we warn all of our meetings in a legal way, but where else can we
No,
post
those meetings aren't warned.
Are you talking, when you say those, what do you?
That committee.
So the way that this was formulated is the exact same way we did our solar. The select board appointed, accepted a committee to go out and gather some information and report back to the select board. So if you look back to the last meeting, we did discuss this in depth, and we had your whole committee reporting. We had Tim Smith, we had Bethany Remmers, we had several people from the committee. We had Jim Harrison, the private investor, discussing the whole process and outlining to the public. We also had the public presentation. So the original team that got us to the point of the presentation, they were authorized by the select board to work with the engineer and the economist, because what they were hired to do was gather information regarding the expense of creating the system and the potential impact.
So it looks like you're hiding things. People in town think you're hiding something. So why not get as much information as possible out there?
So, well, I wish that when we're referring to these topics that we don't say that I'm hiding anything, because every step of this
We're
process,
hiding something.
Okay, because we have discussed this all in public, and we did have a big public presentation.
We did, but it's obviously not enough.
Well, that goes back to my question. What else can we do? And I'm not saying we're not. I'm saying, do we stuff mailboxes with information? I'm good with that. Do we do mailers? I mean, we post online, and I realize we're in rural Vermont, and not everybody has an internet connection, but I'm interested in getting that outreach. I feel like people aren't super plugged in until town meeting day.
Right.
But
so we can circulate anything that you want. And like Randy said, if you have a plan, let me know how we can get more information out. I'm also circulating these agendas and letting people know what's going on. Please come to the meeting to talk about this. when we started, there was a flyer that went out. What can we do to stimulate our local economy and create jobs? Invest at the airport. So to say that we're hiding anything is really, I think, kind of counterproductive. We're pretty darn good for a town for posting information. It's available in an awful lot of spots.
So maybe one thing would be to have an information meeting on a Saturday or Sunday where maybe more people could attend. Maybe even a different weeknight. Maybe people have conflicts. Maybe you could reach a different section of the population.
Yeah, we can certainly do those things. We have to keep a project budget in mind for each public meeting we have where we have someone presenting. It all goes into the budget for the project. So if there are things we can do ourselves to help people stay informed, you know, point them out to me. I'm happy to do them. But like tonight, John Svagdis, his budget for that project that everyone's very concerned about includes mailing to people to make sure they were in the loop for this meeting, making phone calls, coming to these meetings to present. So if we're going to host a weekend meeting, like we did several when we were working on the village core study, that's money. That's money that we're expending. So that's
right.
great.
But if
and
we
it's a
don't
really,
get the information out there, you're not going to have any money anyway.
well, it's a really important part of the project, but it took an awful lot of time to get people to go, is what I'm saying. So I'm all for doing public meetings. I'm all for holding them at convenient times. But if you give me contact information for people who feel they're out of the loop, I will call them. I will send them information.
Ty Schwarner is the first one.
Ty, what else do you want to know? Oh, are you muted?
He's not muted on my screen. Oh, no, he's not muted. He's snoozing.
No, he's talking, but I can't hear him.
Oh. Aside from this subject, it might behoove the town just to have a communication plan on these projects outside of current communication methods, I guess. It seems to be a recurring issue where there's a project that's been in the pipelines for months, years, and folks don't seem to know about it or haven't heard about, you know, whatever the case may be. But I do feel like we communicate fairly well, but when we hear the feedback that we're not, that means to me that there are other methods that we should be probably utilizing. And it's the hardest part is trying to figure out what are those methods.
Right.
Well, I don't think we're alone. I think a lot of towns struggle with the same thing. And each year when I write my report for the town report, I say, please, if you'd like to get email blasts, give me your email. And I haven't gotten any responses. So, you know, it's a struggle. But sometimes when we say, people say, I didn't know anything about a project, we say, well, we advertise in the newspaper and we advertise on our website and we advertise on Facebook and we also, you know, have an email blast, and they'll say, I don't have any of that. Well, okay. We post it in the stores. Anyway, I'll send information to anybody that wants information.
Scott Bassett's another one. You can send information to him.
He's on the planning commission. I just did an update at the meeting on Tuesday and
I
talked
know
about
he
it.
wasn't there.
He was not there. But I'm open to any suggestions about communication, but I'm thinking perhaps we should talk about these forms. And again, what the select board decided at their last meeting was that to apply for a grant does not mean that you can't have a public input. So when you apply for this grant, you'll have a certain amount of time to get a public vote. So the vote at the last meeting of the select board members was that it made sense to apply and then to put it to the voters. So if you are still of that mind, please sign the forms. And if you're not, we can step back from this.
I don't have any problem with the forms. I just, that particular sentence, I read differently than you.
So how would you like it to read? And I will modify it. It's a standard form that I cut and pasted onto our letterhead.
Does anyone else have a thought about this?
Shamefully, I have not seen this for some reason. I don't know if I missed it. And so I feel like a fool, to be quite honest with you. I didn't see this form. Obviously, it was sent to me, but I don't remember seeing it. So that's why I have a hard time commenting, because I apparently haven't done my homework. So I apologize. Is that something that was sent to, when was that sent out?
With your packet. So the packets went out last night this week. So it is.
It went out last night?
Yes.
Okay.
So what the letter is intended to do, and again, it's a standard bullet list that I cut out of the application form and put into a letter. And it's basically stating that the select board is honest and true and doesn't own the government anything. And you understand that by submitting this, it's not a contract, and that you can't spend any money until you are given a notice to proceed. All applicable state laws pertaining to contracting, procurement, and bidding process shall be adhered to. The project must be located within an NBRC service area and be a direct benefit to the area. That we're not a for-profit.
Well, that would explain why, yeah. I do apologize to everybody, because I got home at 6:15 tonight from work. And so I didn't see this packet. So that's on me. So I apologize.
Well, things were a little off schedule this week. I apologize. I was otherwise occupied on Monday, and so the packet went out later than it usually does. Usually you'll have that on Tuesday.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Randy, Richard, Bruce?
I have no problems with it. Am I unmuted? Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I don't have any issues with that. That letter looks like it keeps the taxpayers in the, in their best interest. I have no issues.
Bruce?
I think we should reinstitute the town crier.
We're missing Sue is what the problem is.
Okay. I'm in favor of just using the all I can think to call it's the standard format.
Richard?
This is the one I voted no on last time, right?
Correct.
Yep. Yeah, I'm still against it. You know, I just I hear a lot out there in the community, and you mentioned a couple names, Sharon, that them are the ones I've heard from, and you know, I'm still sticking with my guns. I think this ain't the time.
Well, we're voting to approve this letter, right?
I know, but I'm not approving it, Randy.
Well, you're
But it's,
just authorizing signature on those forms for the application. So
Again, I think we've been through this Heidi before. Again, I think anything author, I think our chair needs to sign with you. You know, I've always been that way.
The situation,
I'm not
What's
signing
that?
these
everybody,
documents.
let Bruce stop.
Heidi has no authorization to expend funds. And I'm not trying to defend her. It's the 5 of us that are authorized to expend funds, and just the 5 of us. It doesn't matter who else's signature is on things.
I understand that, Bruce, but it shouldn't somebody else oversee it too?
The letter,
It's what we're doing
These
right
are
now.
for your signature, Richard. I'm not signing any of these documents. I'm asking you as a group to authorize them tonight so that I can take them to Sharon for signature. And
Okay. Okay.
agree.
Okay, I'll agree with that. Okay.
Okay, so can I have a motion?
I move we sign the letter as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that. This is Randy.
Yep. All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 so, and the letter is to be signed by all of you, so we'll have to have a plan for you to sign it. So I can take these all to Sharon tomorrow, but I'll leave the letter at the office and we'll try and coordinate a time for signatures.
It worked good to be able to just go into Fleet Pride and sign it for me. So the last,
That's fine. Fine by
the
me.
last piece of correspondence.
I'm good however you guys want to go about this. If you want to send it to me, I can electronically sign it.
Okay.
But however.
Okay. So we will proceed with the application. So the other thing I had on my list was if you wanted to start to tackle the traffic ordinance. I have gotten a few edits from Richard Noel that I have incorporated, and it's possible there will be a few more. So if you wanted to put it off to the next meeting, that's totally fine.
It's almost.
Yeah.
You want to push it back?
Yeah, I'd like to push it back.
We
I'd
do
like to make a
have
motion.
Michael Casella with us, and he would like to go into executive with you to talk about contract negotiations for the transfer station.
Okay. Do I have a motion to push that back to another meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Heidi, anything else?
I put the St. Albans Messenger ad under Select Board, so there's an offer if you want to sponsor that.
Okay, so the St. Albans Messengers, excuse me, putting out a page of seniors and are asking if we would be interested in putting an ad in the paper for $200.
So, silly, stupid question. Would the high school pay for that? And if they won't, I'm okay with it.
So I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, Randy. So they're just asking businesses and towns if they want to sponsor that full page advertisement in the paper. So this is something similar they did for like healthcare workers. So what they would do is just honor the seniors, and the sponsors would pay for it. So the question is, does the town want to pay $200 to have their logo included in a full page ad for local seniors?
I'll make that motion, yes.
And I'll second it. It's Randy. And just for discussion,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's, Highgate residents, I'm guessing.
I think it is
All seniors, I
all
think.
seniors.
I'm still okay with it, I guess.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. There is a flyover of the F-35 scheduled for tomorrow at around 1 o'clock.
Darn it. Get out of town. Son of a gun.
They are flying over as a thank you to all essential workers, specifically the healthcare workers. The fire department will be placing the trucks out on the apron. Also as a thank you to all of those essential workers. And then one thing that we touched on last meeting was who is doing the mowing. So Kyle, I know at one time you said you were going to be doing the park mowing, but I'm assuming that we can come to another conclusion in this.
I said I would be more than happy to help mow. Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm just trying to make it so you don't have to mow.
No, if you
Trying
guys
to either have Dan do it or the highway or have Ty and
if you guys want some help, if you need help volunteering to mow, I definitely will help. If you have employees that can do it, that have time to do it, then have them do it. But if it's something where you need to pay somebody else to do it, I'll volunteer to do it.
I think Ty is on still, but I believe Brian's been doing some mowing.
I am on still, Randy. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I had to switch to my phone, a laptop, stop microphone. Yes, Brian did all the mowing last week, last Friday and Saturday, parks and arena facility. So,
What I'm saying, guys, if you need some help mowing, I've got no problem volunteering to help mow. Zero. But if you're all set, you're all set. That's good too. But if you need help, I'll be more than happy to help. I just need to know what the schedule is and what the procedure is. That's all.
Hey, Ty, it's Randy.
Yeah.
How's Dan doing? Is he able to keep busy, fulfill the 40? I know I saw Brian mowing. Wasn't sure.
If you want me to go into executive, I can speak more about it, but
we can do that. That's fine. That's fine.
Back to me mowing, guys. Just let me know what you need.
Okay. Yeah. I said the same thing, Kyle.
Yeah, if you need,
I'm willing to,
just let me know. Just let me know.
okay.
okay. So
was there anything else for regular select board meeting?
Yeah, I had just one, Sharon. You may have talked on it when I was switching over, but I just wanted to let people know that Vermont Thunder, the motorcycle ride for Memorial Day, is still happening. They changed the route up. It normally rides through Sheldon on 105. This year, because of all the social distancing and stuff, they changed the route up, and they will be going straight through Highgate, coming up 207, turning on 78 and going to Sheldon that way. So that's Sunday, and it says they're leaving the Williston rest area around 1:15 Sunday. So I wouldn't encourage people to gather, but if they live along the route, it'd be great to see some support in Highgate for them in Memorial Day.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll most definitely hear them coming.
Yeah. Okay, and my last thing would be, we do wish everyone a safe and healthy Memorial Day. And we thank those who have given all in the service of our country.
Amen. Thank you, Sharon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I would make a motion to exit the regularly scheduled select board meeting and enter into executive with Ty Schwanier and Michael Casella, along with Heidi Britch. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank everyone else for joining us.